as the opening card softly fades into complete darkness. Allow your body to gently settle into the quiet rest of the evening. There is nothing left that requires your attention today. Nowhere else you need to be, and nothing more you need to accomplish. Feel free to close your eyes whenever you are ready, letting the calm, rhythmic flow of your breath carry you away from the busy noise of the modern world. Imagine stepping barefoot onto the cool, fine sand of the Giza Plateau, where a gentle desert evening breeze moves across the landscape like a soft breath. Here, beneath an immense sky that gradually fills with twinkling stars, the earth feels remarkably still. The silence of the desert is deep and comforting, cradling the ancient memories of stone, dedicated human craftsmanship, and the slow, peaceful passage of unhurried centuries. As you inhale slowly and deeply, let this sense of timeless quiet fill your lungs, relaxing your shoulders and releasing every small bit of lingering tension from your day. In this tranquil twilight, the ancient landscape reveals a quiet harmony between human hands and the vast, sweeping movements of the celestial heavens. During the summer solstice, an observer standing near the Great Sphinx watches the sun set directly between the profiles of Khufu and Khafre's pyramids, visually recreating the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph for the horizon ****. This intentional solar alignment was far more than just a magnificent architectural achievement. It was a deeply spiritual reflection of how thoughtfully the ancient builders linked their work to the cosmic order. By aligning these colossal monuments with the precise path of the setting sun, they tied the earthly legacy of their kings to the daily rebirth of light itself. In the fading warmth of the evening, watching the golden orb nestle between the stone peaks creates a feeling of unbroken continuity, as though time itself pauses to admire the enduring balance between earth and sky. As night continues to unfold across the high plateau, the immense monuments slowly release the heat they gathered throughout the sunlit hours. These colossal blocks of limestone, quarry-hewn with endless patience and raised through centuries of shared human effort, now radiate a soft, gentle warmth into the cooling desert air. Standing near their vast bases, looking up toward their peaks silhouetted against the indigo sky, you can feel the reassuring weight of their permanence. Empires have risen and faded. Centuries have quietly drifted past, yet these peaceful sentinels remain exactly as they were, anchored deeply in the bedrock. The surrounding air grows crisp, clean, and silent, carrying only the subtle whisper of sand shifting in the gentle wind, a soft, natural lullaby inviting all things to rest. Allow your mind to rest in the stillness, leaving behind all thoughts of tomorrow. Just as the shadows lengthen and merge into the restful dark of the desert night, let your thoughts soften and grow quiet. You are completely safe in this moment, held by the calm solitude of an ancient world that has rested under this same starry sky for thousands of years. With every slow, easy breath you take, feel yourself sinking deeper into total comfort, resting peacefully alongside the timeless stone quiet sand and the silent, gentle passage of time. As dusk settles gently over the desert, the ancient landscape speaks of an era when water and stone moved in quiet harmony. Today, the Giza Plateau rises above vast expanses of golden dust. But in antiquity, the natural world presented a far softer, greener threshold. Sediment core analysis of the Giza floodplain revealed the ancient Khufu branch of the Nile, a lush 7-kilometer river arm that flowed directly along the plateau's edge around 2500 BCE before slowly drying into tranquil sand dunes. In those distant centuries, heavy wooden barges drifted smoothly upon these gentle currents, carrying blocks of fine limestone carved from quarries across the valley. The quiet river served as a vital artery of life and movement, its surface rippling under breezes that cooled the builders at the end of long, rhythmic days. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, the water reflected the soft pastel hues of the Egyptian sky, mirroring the massive silhouettes of the rising monuments. Over uncounted seasons, as the climate gradually shifted and the river channel receded into history, the memory of that flowing water remained etched in the deep geology of the plain, leaving behind a tranquil silence where the desert now rests. With the river's calm presence settled into the memory of the earth, the monumental stones themselves turn toward the sky, holding a quiet dialogue with the sun. The Great Pyramid, crafted with profound architectural precision, responds to the slow movement of the seasons in ways that are subtle, intricate, and breathtakingly serene. As the warm summer fades and the evening air grows cool and crisp, the shifting light of autumn alters the morning and late afternoon shadows. During the quiet light of the autumn equinox, low-angle sunlight casts subtle shadows across the Great Pyramid's unique concave faces, revealing a half-degree indentation that divides each side into two gentle halves. This fleeting alignment occurs only twice a year, as the sun reaches its precise midpoint between horizons. The subtle crease on each giant wall captures the long, golden rays of dawn or twilight, turning one side slightly darker than the other in a delicate interplay of light and shade. It is an extraordinary feature, invisible to the casual observer under the harsh glare of midday, yet revealed so gently when the earth balances between light and dark. This faint indentation speaks to an extraordinary mastery of geometry, woven so seamlessly into the monument that it feels like a natural breathing of the stone itself. Resting under the gathering night, the grand structure seems to absorb the peaceful stillness of the surrounding desert, cradled in timeless peace. The stone retains the faint warmth of the day's sunlight, slowly releasing it to the cool night air as the stars begin their slow, reassuring wheeling across the celestial sphere. To contemplate these ancient monuments is to step away from the rush of modern hours and enter a realm defined by natural cycles, the shifting of rivers, the tilt of the planet, and the quiet passage of millennia. The sand remains still. The sky glows with a soft nocturnal blue, and the Great Pyramid rests, a monument built of stone, ramps, and time, lulling the mind into deep and restful sleep. Along the wide, serene curves of the ancient Nile, the water glides with a quiet constancy, reflecting the soft glow of an afternoon sky that gradually softens into shades of amber and rose. For generations, this great river served as the beating heart of Egypt, carrying life, fertility, and the silent current of transport that made grand visions possible. On its shimmering surface, wooden vessels rested gently in the water, their timber frames seasoned by sun and river mist, rocking with the rhythmic rise and fall of the current. The air near the bank smelled of wet papyrus reeds, damp earth, and the cool breath of evening drifting down from the desert plateau above. Here, away from the dust and heat of the midday work, time seemed to slow to the steady pace of drifting water. Ships moved without urgency, aligned with the natural flow of the river, as skilled oarsmen guided heavy wooden cargo boats loaded with fine stone cut from quarries further upstream. Everything moved in a peaceful cadence, guided by careful planning, collective patience, and a deep understanding of the river's natural seasonal rhythms. Among these historical journeys, rare surviving records offer a remarkably intimate window into the daily rhythm of work along the water. Papyrus logbooks, written around 2560 BCE by an inspector named Mur, detail how a 40-man crew calmly towed heavy limestone blocks along artificial canals carved directly to the Giza harbor. These precious documents, recorded with tidy columns of black ink on rolls of dried reed, reveal a world far removed from chaos or strain. Inspector Mur recorded the names of his crew members, the daily movements of their boat, and the exact weather conditions as they guided their heavy loads across the water. Each morning began under a cool sky as 40 men pulled together in synchronized harmony, using long tow lines woven from sturdy flax to lead their stone-laden vessel along the specially excavated waterways. The artificial canals had been carefully engineered to cut through the floodplains, creating smooth and tranquil channels that allowed the river's water to lift and carry immense weights straight to the foot of the rising plateau. As the boat glided along these quiet blue lanes, the steady splash of oars and the rhythmic murmur of quiet working songs echoed softly over the water, creating a tranquil melody of effort and calm cooperation. As the vessels reached the harbor basins at Giza, the stone blocks were floated gently into position, ready to be unloaded onto wooden sleds that waited at the water's edge. The harbor itself was a haven of stillness, protected from the river's main current by broad earthen embankments and lined with soft mud brick quays. Here, workers rested under the shade of palm trees, untying ropes and inspecting the smooth surfaces of white Tura limestone that would soon form the polished outer casing of the great monuments. The evening light lingered over the landscape, casting long, peaceful shadows across the harbor as the day's journey came to a quiet close. There was a sense of profound order and quiet satisfaction in knowing that each block had traveled its path with care, carried across land and water through human harmony and the gentle power of the Nile. As darkness settled softly over the valley, the river continued its endless, soothing murmur, carrying the quiet history of the day into the stillness of the desert night. Imagine the slow, rhythmic swell of the Nile River as it rises gently against its grassy banks, transforming the sun-baked valley into a vast, silver mirror. In the quiet twilight of an ancient evening, the air is soft and cool, carrying the gentle scent of damp earth, river rushes, and night-blooming lotus. For long months, the land has rested beneath the warmth of the sun, peacefully awaiting the annual arrival of the floodwaters that flow northward from the distant highlands. This rise is not a sudden, turbulent torrent, but a deeply restful, predictable tide that cradles the landscape and breathes life into every palm grove and quiet village field. Along the wide, shimmering channel, heavy wooden vessels drift with effortless grace, their broad hulls riding high upon the swollen currents. The river serves as the great, tranquil highway of the ancient kingdom, carrying water, rich silt, and massive stones with equal ease across hundreds of miles of peaceful water. Men stand at the steering oars with steady, patient hands, guiding the timber craft down the broad waterways, while the setting sun paints the sky in soft shades of amber, lavender, and dusky rose. Deep within the heart of the Great Pyramid, structural elegance relies upon stones of extraordinary weight, balance, and endurance. High above the inner sanctuary, the grandest of these stones form the layered ceiling of the king's chamber, designed to endure the immense pressure of the masonry rising above them for millennia to come. The 50-ton rose granite beams above the king's chamber were quarried 500 miles away in Aswan and floated north on timber barges during the quiet high water months of the annual Nile inundation. Down from the sunlit granite cliffs of the far south, where skilled stonemasons spent long months carefully wedging and dressing the dense stone, these monumental monoliths began their long, silent journey, riding atop massive rafts crafted from thick timber. The stone rested comfortably as the calm current bore it steadily toward the Giza plateau. The deep, gentle waters of the flood provided just enough buoyancy and clearance over the shallow riverbeds, allowing loads of incredible mass to glide effortlessly past quiet villages without disturbing the peace of the countryside. As the heavy timber barges reached their final destination near the foot of the Giza plateau, the calm river water carried them gently into temporary harbors and shallow canals, dug specially by skilled engineers to receive them. Here, at the quiet water's edge, each monumental stone was brought safely to rest upon soft mudbanks, waiting for the dedicated teams who would guide it up the long earthen ramps. There was no rush in this work. only a steady, measured harmony between human intent and the natural rhythm of the earth. The soft sound of water lapping against cedar timber, the faint rustle of river reeds in the evening breeze, and the low, rhythmic scraping of heavy sledges against stone created a quiet cadence that echoed across the darkening valley. In the stillness of the night, as the first stars begin to emerge over the desert horizon, the immense rose granite beams rest peacefully under the dark sky, ready to be lifted into place, stone upon stone, bound by time, water, and human patience. Across the eastern bank of the Nile River, where the Mokattam Hills rise gently against the open desert sky, a quiet rhythm governed the ancient gathering of fine white limestone. In the pale morning light, long before the heat of the day grew heavy, the stonecutters moved along the natural terraces with a calm and practiced focus. They walked upon layers of ancient seafloor that had settled over vast expanses of geological time, reading the fine, delicate strata etched into the rock by prehistoric ocean currents. The morning air was cool and still, carrying only the soft whisper of the desert breeze and the faint, rhythmic sound of copper chisels and wooden mallets against the pale cliffside. There was no sense of haste in their movements, for the construction of the royal monuments was a long conversation with eternity, requiring a patient understanding of the earth's natural structure and the quiet strength hidden within the stone. To free these immense blocks without causing unwanted fractures or internal cracks across their smooth surfaces, the artisans relied not on violent force, but on a subtle process that invited the elements to work alongside them. At the quarry face of Mokattam, stonecutters drove dry acacia wood wedges into natural sedimentary fissures and saturated them with river water, causing the expanding fibers to split massive limestone blocks along clean, even plains. As the moisture seeped deep into the dense grain of the acacia, the dry fibers absorbed the river water drop by drop, expanding steadily with an enormous, uniform pressure against the rock walls. In the peaceful stillness of the quarry, one could observe the quiet harmony of organic growth meeting mineral permanence, as the swelling wood gradually exerted its tireless energy against the ancient bedding plains of the limestone. Eventually, with a soft and resonant sound of release, the great monolith parted cleanly from the mother rock, preserving the integrity of its smooth surfaces for generations to come. Once separated from the cliff face, the smooth, pale monoliths rested upon the shaded quarry floor, their fresh surfaces catching the soft ambient light of the late afternoon. Craftsmen moved deliberately around each newly shaped block, inspecting the overall geometry with wooden measuring rods and gently paring away any minor surface irregularities. There was a restful cadence to their collective work, where every motion was purposeful yet relaxed, perfectly tuned to the unhurried passage of the sun across the wide Egyptian sky. As twilight began to color the horizon in shades of soft amber and indigo, the ambient temperature dropped bringing a refreshing breeze that swept clean the stone channels. The quarry gradually grew silent, allowing the day's labor to yield to a deep and restorative calm that enveloped the entire hillside. The newly quarried blocks, heavy, pristine, and perfectly formed, lay nestled in the cooling sand, waiting in quiet stillness for their eventual journey across the waters to the Giza Plateau. In the gentle stillness of the desert night, the soft sound of distant water lapping against the riverbanks seemed to echo the calm, steady patience that guided every stage of their creation. Under the emerging canopy of evening stars, the timeless stone rested peacefully, a quiet testament to human ingenuity and the extraordinary, gentle power of water, wood, and time. As the golden light of late afternoon softens across the Nile Valley, a quiet rhythm settles over the working grounds near the quarries. Here, skilled hands move with unhurried precision, shaping vast blocks of fine limestone that have rested deep within the cool desert earth for age upon age. Rather than relying on brute force, it was meticulous technique and an intimate understanding of natural materials that guided every movement of the ancient builders. The stonecutters worked steadily into the fading warmth of late afternoon, their tools crafted from metal, forged with subtle, natural alloy variations. Chemical analysis of microscopic metal flakes embedded in the core masonry reveals that Old Kingdom stonecutters worked with copper chisels hardened with natural traces of arsenic, enabling the thin metal edges to slice smoothly through soft limestone without bending. With every rhythmic and deliberate strike, fine white dust drifted silently to the ground like falling sand, revealing clean, geometric faces on blocks destined to endure for millennia. The quiet, steady patience of these artisans filled the ambient air, turning heavy physical labor into a peaceful, meditative craft where gentle focus mattered far more than haste or force. Once freed from the bedrock, these massive stone blocks began their slow and graceful journey across the landscape toward the rising structure. Moving such immense weight demanded not arduous strain, but an elegant balance between natural forces and thoughtful human ingeniousness. Along the haulage routes, workers laid smooth tracks of packed earth and slick clay, preparing a calm corridor over which heavy wooden sledges could smoothly pass. Before each sledge advanced, a designated worker stepped forward with an earthen jar, carefully dampening the path ahead with quiet attention. In the limestone quarry of Hatnub, preserved ramp systems show that workers poured measured drops of water onto wet clay paths to have friction, gliding heavy stone sledges smoothly up gentle inclines. The liquid transformed the dry surface into a microslick film, allowing heavy burdens to glide forward almost effortlessly upon the earth. The soft, rhythmic sound of wooden runners sliding across wet clay echoed gently through the quiet valley, a soothing heartbeat marking the slow progression of time and patient human effort Underneath the calming expanse of the twilight sky, the harmony of water, stone, and copper reveals a deep stillness within this monumental endeavor. There were no frantic rushes or noisy disruptions across the plateau, only the steady, measured motion of artisans working together in shared tranquility. As dusk deepens, the cool evening breeze carries away the lingering dust of the day, leaving behind perfectly dressed stones resting silently in the dimming light. Each block resting upon its neighbor reflects a quiet mastery over weight and friction, brought about through simple moisture and carefully forged metal. The vast earthen ramps, designed with thoughtful geometry to ease every heavy load, gradually melt into the soothing shadows of nightfall, having served their peaceful purpose for another day. In the stillness of the starry night, the great structure stands serene and quiet under the celestial canopy, built not merely of stone and earth, but of patience, breath, and timeless human harmony. Every layer laid down becomes part of a silent story written across generations, resting peacefully under the eternal sky. As twilight begins to settle over the Giza plateau, the intense heat of midday yields to a soothing, cool breeze drifting across the gentle waters of the Nile. In the open working spaces beside the rising monument, the atmosphere turns quiet and deeply reflective, bathed in the soft golden glow of the setting sun. While much of the Great Pyramid was built using pale limestone quarried right on the plateau, the grandest interior spaces required a stone of exceptional strength, density, and timeless majesty. Deep within the expanding structure, massive blocks of rich pink and gray granite lay waiting for the final, deliberate touches of the master craftsman. Transported over hundreds of miles from distant southern quarries in Aswan, these dense stones possessed a stubborn resilience that resisted ordinary copper tools, inviting instead a method of craftsmanship rooted in stillness, patience, and unwavering human focus. Beside these formidable blocks, skilled artisans sat comfortably on woven reed mats, approaching their daily work with an unhurried, rhythmic dedication. Ancient masons smoothed rough rose granite surfaces using spherical dolerite hammerstones brought from the eastern desert, rhythmically tapping the hard stone until its crystal grain powdered into fine dust. With every gentle, deliberate impact of the dark stone spheres against the mottled surface, tiny mineral grains broke free, drifting into the air like a delicate haze before settling softly onto the ground below. The steady tapping produced a low, resonant murmur that echoed across the stone yards, creating a peaceful cadence that harmonized with the calm breathing of the workers. Rather than forcing the stone to yield through aggression or haste, the craftsmen allowed time and repetition to guide their hands, slowly transforming raw, uneven quarry faces into impossibly smooth plains. As each passage of time brought subtle progress, workers periodically swept away the gathered stone dust, using soft palm frond brushes checking their work with wooden straightedges to ensure absolute precision. Under their skilled fingers, the polished granite revealed its hidden character, displaying shimmering flecks of quartz and feldspar that caught the fading light of the afternoon. This meticulous smoothing process was not merely a physical task, but a quiet dialogue between human devotion and the ancient foundation of the earth. The artisans knew that their efforts would soon be enclosed within the solid heart of the pyramid, preserved in total darkness for millennia to come. There was a profound tranquility in knowing that their quiet, repetitive actions were contributing to something that would endure long after their own lives had passed into memory. As twilight deepens into night, the last echoing taps fade gently into the stillness of the desert evening. The heavy dolerite hammerstones are set aside, resting beside the finished granite blocks that now glow under the soft, silver illumination of the moon. A calm silence settles over the entire plateau, carrying the peaceful energy of a day spent in quiet, meaningful labor. The smooth stones, now perfectly prepared for their eternal place within the monument, hold within their cool surfaces the patience of the craft and the silent passage of time. The desert air grows cooler, inviting a deep and restive sleep over the ancient landscape, where every block stands as a timeless testament to steady harmony and quiet endurance. As dusk gently settles over the high limestone plateau, the intense heat of the desert day slowly dissolves into the cool, tranquil air of twilight. The long shadows that stretched across the golden sands gradually soften and merge into the darkening landscape, leaving behind a profound stillness that feels both vast and unhurried. Above the quiet plain, the sky deepens from a pale evening twilight into a rich, clear indigo velvet, revealing the very first faint pinpricks of starlight. In this calm nocturnal atmosphere, far removed from the dust, heat, and rhythmic clamor of daytime quarrying, the master builders and royal astronomers of the Old Kingdom begin their essential work. The clear desert sky provides an unblemished window onto the universe, free from moisture or artificial glare, where the celestial bodies move in silent, predictable arcs across the dome of night, standing upon the carefully leveled foundation bedrock. The ancient surveyors prepare their instruments for an evening of quiet observation. Their attention turns deliberately toward the northern sky, where a select group of stars circles continuously without ever setting below the horizon. The imperishable stars that the ancient Egyptians held in deep reverence as symbols of eternity. By tracking the steady rotation of circumpolar stars like Thuban across the night sky, using a plumb line called a merkit, ancient surveyors aligned the pyramid's base to true north within 4/60ths of a degree. This extraordinary level of precision, achieved without modern optics or digital tools, reflects a deep mastery of geometric principles and astronomical patience. By sighting along narrow slits and suspended plumb lines, they captured the subtle midpoint of stellar paths, translating the movement of heaven into exact lines upon earth. The work required a quiet, meditative focus as the observers held their sightlines steady against the gentle nocturnal breeze. Each measurement was taken with deliberate slowness, waiting patiently through the cool, quiet hours, while the northern stars traced their silent circles around the ancient celestial pole. A narrow trench filled with water, or a set of sightlines drawn against wooden frames, allowed them to mark the exact moment a star reached its highest or lowest point. Through such modest, time-tested methods, the ancient builders established a cardinal baseline so true that even modern satellite mapping can barely detect its minute variance. In the quiet darkness, the simple act of looking upward became a bridge connecting human intention with the cosmic order, anchoring the future pyramid in harmony with the compass of the world. As the night deepens further and the stars continue their peaceful, uninterrupted journey overhead, the high plateau remains bathed in restful, unbroken silence. The lines marked in the bedrock under the starlight will guide the placement of thousands of heavy limestone blocks in the months and years to come. Long after the surveyors have completed their observations, and the night sky slowly fades into the soft amber glow of dawn, this precise alignment remains permanently etched into the stone. The monument is now grounded not only in the soil of Egypt, but also in the timeless geometry of the heavens. Resting upon this perfect orientation, the stone foundation waits in calm stillness, holding the quiet memory of starlight, skill, and human care for thousands of years. Long before the vast courses of limestone began to rise into the warm desert sky, a quiet period of planning and testing unfolded across the plateau. The ancient master builders understood that a structure of such immense scale required absolute clarity of vision before a single heavy block was set in place. In the calm stillness of the early morning light, before the heat of the sun grew heavy, surveyors marked out trial lines into the solid earth. Just east of the Great Pyramid lie the trial passages, a series of subterranean bedrock trenches that duplicate the precise inclinations and cross-sections of the internal passages at a reduced scale, constructed by architects to test surveying alignments before building the full monument. Here, within these modest rock-cut channels, the craftsmen practiced their methods with patient repetition. They measured angles, tested sightlines, and observed how light and plumb lines interacted within narrow corridors. They observed the subtle play of shadow, refined the slope of descending passageways, and verified every calculation against the open horizon. The quiet subterranean passages allowed them to resolve any subtle errors in geometry long before committing their designs to the monument itself. Walking past these understated grooves in the bedrock today feels like stepping into a gentle draft of an ancient blueprint, where thought was given physical form in the quiet stone. Once the internal geometry was thoroughly understood and verified, attention returned to the wide expanse of the foundation. Prepared Repairing the plateau was an exercise in extreme patience, as workers slowly shaved away high points of rock and leveled the expansive limestone floor until it resembled a still mirror of stone, to ensure that the monumental structure would rest securely for thousands of years without shifting or settling unevenly. The builders established permanent reference points directly into the natural ground. At the four corners of Khufu's pyramid, surveyors carved shallow rectangular sockets directly into the bedrock floor to anchor the base casing stones, keeping the corners level across the 230-meter foundation to within 15 millimeters. This extraordinary level of accuracy, achieved across a distance spanning more than 2 football fields, speaks to a profound mastery of simple tools, water levels, and careful observation. The corner sockets acted as immovable cornerstones, capturing the alignment of the cardinal directions and anchoring the weight of the future pyramid to the enduring bedrock beneath. Each socket provided a fixed datum point, ensuring that every side of the vast square base met in absolute harmony. As night fell over the plateau, the quiet work of surveying gave way to the soft rustle of the evening breeze moving across the leveled floor. The shallow sockets and test trenches lay cool under the night sky, filled with soft shadows that smoothed their carved edges. Every measurement had been taken with quiet intention, ensuring that each subsequent layer of stone would rest upon a foundation built with unwavering truth and care. The stars drifted slowly overhead, their timeless paths mirrored in the alignment of the trenches cut into the bedrock. Standing upon the silent plateau under the moonlight, one can feel the lingering harmony of human patience and natural stone. A quiet foundation laid down in total stillness, ready to hold the immense weight of centuries yet to come. In this peaceful calm, the plateau rests softly, wrapped in silence and waiting for the morning light. Long before the white limestone casing stones reflected the sun of antiquity, the builders turned their attention to the open floor east of the pyramid's base. Here, in the quiet expanse reserved for Khufu's mortuary temple, master craftsmen envisioned a sacred courtyard paved with dark, reflective stone that would mirror the sky and anchor the monumental structure to the plateau. The chosen material was a deep black basalt, quarried from ancient volcanic flows far across the desert sands and transported along the calm waters of the Nile. Each slab of dark rock was shaped with meticulous care, smoothed until its surface possessed a soft sheen that held the changing light of dawn and dusk. But to lay such heavy, unyielding stones seamlessly across a wide field of natural bedrock required a foundation built upon absolute precision. The plateau itself, formed of uneven limestone strata carved by ancient seas, was far from level, bearing small crests, subtle slants, and natural hollows that had to be reconciled long before the first block of basalt was slid softly into position in the quiet afternoon light as the hot desert wind settled into a gentle breeze. Surveying crews gathered with simple wooden tools, ropes, and a deep understanding of nature's simplest balance. To achieve a surface of perfect equilibrium, the surveyors relied not on complex machinery, but on the unwavering physical truth of liquid at rest. Across the broad area of the future mortuary temple, workers carved an intricate network of shallow grid trenches directly into the living rock of the plateau. When these narrow channels were filled with calm, clear water, the liquid naturally settled into a perfectly flat plane, offering an infallible reference mark along every carved bank. Laborers then carefully chipped away the surrounding high spots of bedrock down to the exact water line, allowing the moisture to drain away once the task was fulfilled. Through this quiet and elegant technique, the black basalt pavement of Khufu's mortuary temple rests on bedrock that workers leveled to within 2 centimeters across 4,000 square meters, using temporary grid trenches filled with tranquil water. This extraordinary level of accuracy ensured that when the dark basalt slabs were finally aligned, they fitted together with almost imperceptible seams, forming a continuous mirror of stone that seemed to float effortlessly above the desert floor. The process demanded immense patience, as craftsmen worked methodically from square to square, listening to the soft murmur of water settling against stone under the wide sky. As night descended upon the plateau, the newly prepared foundation lay still beneath the emerging stars, a testament to human patience working in harmony with elemental physical laws. The dark basalt floor, set upon its flawlessly leveled bedrock, captured the deep midnight blues and the gentle silvery glow of the moon, blending the heavy earth with the infinite celestial vault above. Standing at the edge of this serene courtyard, one could feel the profound sense of calm that guided every stage of the pyramid's creation, a rhythm slow and unhurried, where every millimeter of stone received the full measure of human care. The smooth pavement would endure through millennia, outlasting the temple walls that once sheltered it and holding firm against the shifting sands. In the stillness of the desert night, the quiet harmony of stone, water, and geometry settled over Giza, inviting a peaceful rest beneath the timeless stars. The night air over the Giza plateau carries a quiet stillness, settled like fine desert dust upon a landscape shaped by ancient patience. Across the high desert limestone, shadows stretch long and soft, folding the contours of the terrain into gentle dark hues beneath a vast sky of quiet stars. Long before the giant monuments reached toward the heavens, the plateau was already a place of ridges, gentle rises, and natural stone swells carved by ancient waters and winds. When the builders of antiquity stood upon this high terrace, they did not look upon the earth merely as an empty canvas to be leveled completely flat. Instead, they observed the existing geology with deep reverence and practical wisdom. Listening attentively to the subtle contours of the ground beneath their sandaled feet, they sought to harmonize human craftsmanship with the timeless foundation of the earth itself, working with the natural contours of the land rather than fighting against them, creating a seamless bond between the living rock and the carefully cut masonry that would rest softly above it. When planning the grand monument for Pharaoh Khufu, the master builders turned their eyes toward a prominent outcrop near the center of the plateau, recognizing in its natural contours an enduring strength already gifted by the desert. Rather than clearing away this elevated formation, Old Kingdom architects constructed Khufu's pyramid around a natural 10-meter-tall limestone hill at the center of the site, trimming the living bedrock into neat horizontal steps that formed the lower core and saved thousands of quarried blocks. This quiet genius saved countless hours of arduous labor, letting the bedrock itself carry the immense weight of the upper courses while providing an unbreakable heart for the monument. Step by step, skilled quarrymen worked with copper chisels and wooden mallets, carving away the excess stone until the natural knoll matched the rising tiers of the plan, seamlessly marrying native geological formations with carefully dressed blocks brought from nearby quarries. As night deepened over the desert, the soft distinction between nature's original work and human hands softened into a single, unified outline under the pale moonlight. The solid bedrock core remained cool and unmoving, anchored deep within the earth, carrying the silent memory of ancient geological epochs while supporting the grand geometric lines above. Millions of years of natural stone formation converged softly with the dedicated craftsmanship of a single era, creating a tranquil resting place designed to endure for quiet millennia. The profound stability of this hidden bedrock core gave the pyramid a natural sense of balance, ensuring that every layer above settled gracefully into perfect harmony with the silent earth below. To walk along the base of the monument in the cool evening breeze is to feel the profound peace of stone resting upon stone. The desert grows quiet now, wrapped in the cool embrace of twilight, as the ancient pyramid stands in absolute stillness. Inside its massive heart, the solid living rock lies silent, undisturbed by the centuries that drift like shadows across the desert sand. Here, where human vision and natural geography rest as one, the land whispers of timeless rest, inviting a calm, deep, and restoring peace to settle gently over the quiet plateau. As twilight settles over the Giza plateau, the cool desert breeze carries away the warmth of the afternoon sun, bringing a quiet calm to the vast expanse of stone and sand. The plateau was not built in haste, but through an enduring rhythm of careful planning and measured craft, where every layer of rock and mortar reflected a profound respect for stability and permanence. Across the southern periphery of the building site, work tracks angled gently upward against the backdrop of the horizon, guiding the massive stone blocks with steady precision. At the southern edge of the Giza Plateau, preserved sections of broad mud brick ramps show that incline tracks were surfaced with a smooth mixture of crushed limestone dust and damp river silt. This fine, pale coating created a remarkably slick and resilient pathway, allowing heavy wooden sledges to glide with minimal friction under the guidance of organized teams. The damp silt bound the powdered stone into a compact, durable mortar that hardens slightly in the arid air, cushioning the heavy burden while preserving the structural integrity of the ramp beneath. With each pass of a sledge, the surface grew smoother still, silenced by the fine dust that filled every microscopic crevice, turning what might have been an arduous struggle into a calm, rhythmic progression across the rising tiers of the monument. This soft harmony between human ingenuity and the natural elements extended beyond the rising inclines and deep into the very earth beneath the heavy stone foundations. While the grand monuments commanded the eyes of all who looked across the valley, an equally intricate network of silent engineering lay hidden just beneath the surface of the plateau. The builders understood that even in an arid climate, the rare and sudden desert downpours could pose a subtle threat over centuries, seeking out hidden fissures and threatening the absolute levelness of the bedrock base. To prevent any accumulation of moisture near the core masonry, Old Kingdom architects carved subterranean drainage channels into the bedrock surrounding the pyramid bases, quietly directing rare desert rainfall into natural limestone caverns to safeguard the foundation across millennia. These shallow, carefully graded gutters were etched directly into the natural stone, seamlessly blending with the plateau's topography, so that torrential waters would vanish quietly into the deep subterranean chambers below before ever pooling near the lower courses of stone. Through these subtle and enduring methods, the plateau became a quiet, self-sustaining sanctuary of stone, thoughtfully designed to rest in complete harmony with the passage of centuries. The massive mud brick ramps, with their smooth beds of river silt and crushed limestone, would eventually fulfill their temporary purpose and yield peacefully to time, while the hidden channels beneath remained deeply etched in the solid bedrock, keeping their silent vigil through countless dry seasons and occasional winter rains. In the profound stillness of the desert night, under a wide canopy of clear, shimmering stars, the great structures stand perfectly still, anchored to the bedrock by the quiet wisdom of those who shaped them. The evening wind whispers softly across the smooth stone surfaces and the ancient tracks, carrying a sense of deep rest and timeless permanence that invites the mind to settle and unwind in the tranquil expanse of the ancient world. As dusk settles softly over the Giza Plateau, the cool desert breeze sweeps across the limestone bedrock, gently carrying away the lingering warmth of the afternoon sun. The monumental silent shapes of the pyramids cast long, tranquil shadows across the golden sand, where centuries of mastercraft and quiet labor have left their delicate, enduring marks on the earth. Near the base of the third Great Pyramid, built for King Menkora, the calm night air invites a peaceful reflection on the precise and gentle methods of the ancient builders. Here, where massive blocks of stone rest in perfect, timeless alignment, one can almost sense the steady rhythm of daily work that unfolded thousands of years ago. The craftspeople worked not with frantic urgency, but with measured, rhythmic patience, listening to the soft scrape of timber against stone, calculating weights with practiced ease, and using simple yet ingenious techniques to guide each colossal block into its home. As the sun dips beneath the horizon, the desert night begins to cool the surrounding masonry, soothing the plateau and smoothing the transition from a day of dedicated physical effort to the deep, silent rest of twilight. Beneath the foundation of the mortuary temple, cut directly into the solid surface of the limestone plateau, lie small yet profound traces of ancient engineering that speak to the practical brilliance of these master masons. Archaeological excavations along the base of Menkora's mortuary temple revealed hemispherical pivot sockets carved into the limestone bedrock, where masons placed sturdy wooden poles to leverage multi-ton stone blocks into their final positions. These smoothly rounded depressions carved into the rock allowed heavy timber posts to pivot and swivel effortlessly, granting the workers maximum mechanical advantage while minimizing friction against the stone. Imagine the quiet, coordinated harmony of the artisans as they leaned together onto the sturdy wooden levers, guiding each immense block across the bedrock with steady, controlled grace. Each socket was shaped with deliberate care, ensuring that even the heaviest limestone slabs could be nudged into their exact alignment without chipping their crisp, clean edges. It was an elegant union of human strength, wooden fulcrums, and natural bedrock, executed quietly beneath the vast, open skies of ancient Egypt. As each monumental block was eased into its final resting place, a deep and comforting stillness returned to the temple grounds, as if the stone structures themselves were settling down for the night alongside the surrounding desert hills. The wooden leverage poles, smooth and polished from countless hands in oil, were set aside in the lengthening shadows, their heavy purpose fulfilled until the coming dawn. In the fading twilight, the ancient lime mortar set slowly in the cool evening air, bonding the massive stones into an unbroken, protective structure destined to endure through uncounted generations. To look upon these carved bedrock sockets in the quiet twilight of today is to remember that magnificent human structures are created through patience, balance, and small, thoughtful actions repeated over time. The entire plateau grows dark, bathed in the soft, eternal glow of distant stars, while the ancient stones rest undisturbed, cradled gently by the desert earth and wrapped in timeless quiet. as evening light softens across the Giza Plateau. The smallest of the three Great Pyramids, built for King Menkora, takes on a gentle, lingering warmth. Unlike its taller neighbors, whose outer envelopes were draped entirely in pale, fine-grained Tura limestone, the lower portion of this southern monument was intended to be dressed in massive blocks of rich rose granite, quarried far to the south near Aswan. These dense stones were carried down the Nile on heavy wooden barges during the seasonal inundation, floating smoothly across the flooded valley to the edge of the desert plateau. Standing near the base in the calm of dusk, one can feel a deep and grounding sense of stillness in the sheer mass of this crystalline rock. Each colossal block had arrived at the building site bearing a rough, protruding face, left deliberately thick by the quarrymen to cushion the stone against accidental fractures during its long journey over rivers, earthen ramps, and wooden rollers. The stonecutters on site worked with steady, unhurried rhythms, understanding that the delicate work of carving the final smooth slope would only begin after every block was securely bedded in place. Approaching the lower courses of the pyramid today, the tactile story of those ancient craftsmen remains remarkably clear and intimate. The lowest layers of the granite casing show a peaceful, transitionary phase of construction, frozen in time, where the quiet touch of human hands remains preserved across thousands of years. At the base of Menkaura's pyramid, the lower 16 courses of rose granite retain their unpolished, pillow-like quarry bosses, leaving visible the fine drafted margins carved by masons to guide the final smoothing process that was never completed. These narrow, flatly chiseled borders frame each rounded central protrusion like a subtle geometric blueprint carved directly onto the rock face. To ensure the finished pyramid wall would form a perfectly true incline, the masons first cut these precise perimeter channels along the joint lines, establishing an even plane from block to block. Only after these outer edges were aligned would workers begin dressing away the bulging cores. Walking along the base in the fading light, one can almost sense the quiet pause of the workforce, their copper chisels and stone hammers laid down softly at the end of a long afternoon. There is an enduring tranquility in this unfinished state, offering a far more intimate glimpse into ancient methods than any fully smoothed facade could ever provide. The pillow-like curves of the granite catch the low rays of the setting sun, casting soft, rounded shadows that shift gracefully as twilight deepens across the plateau. Rather than appearing incomplete, the pyramid stands as a calm testament to human patience and step-by-step craftsmanship. The delicate drafted margins carved into the stone remind us that even the grandest structures of antiquity were realized through patient, repetitive care, one measured line, and one careful stroke at a time. As night gradually descends over the desert, the ancient rose granite retains a soft, comforting warmth before slowly cooling under the starlit sky, wrapping the monument and the surrounding sands in a deep, restful quiet. as early light begins to trace the eastern horizon across the Nile Valley. A quiet stillness settles over the ancient floodplain. Down near the river's edge, where waters once gently lapped against dock walls, the lower temples stood as peaceful portals between the fertile banks and the elevated high desert plateau. Here, at the edge of the cultivated land, quiet reverence moved in slow, measured rhythms with the rising sun. The transition from soft river mud to the enduring bedrock of the Giza Plateau was bridged by long, deliberate stone pathways designed to elevate body and mind in gentle harmony. Walking these paths in the silence of early morning, one feels the careful geometry of the ancient builders who sculpted the landscape so that every step upwards felt continuous, restful, and deeply anchored to the quiet rhythm of the surrounding earth. As the morning light gradually shifts from deep indigo to soft golden hues, the full beauty of Khufu's processional path becomes visible against the pale desert sands. The monumental causeway connecting Khufu's valley temple to his mortuary temple was built as a 494-meter limestone ramp, paved with smooth white calcite that reflected the calm morning mist rising from the Nile floodplain. Underfoot, this pale alabaster-like stone offered a serene, almost glowing surface that captured the subtle hues of dawn, creating a ribbon of soft light stretching across the plateau floor. Covered by thick limestone roof slabs with narrow apertures, the interior remained cool and dimly lit, allowing faint shafts of early sun to play across the smooth floors. In this quiet corridor, footfalls were softened by the cool morning air, creating a sanctuary of stillness long before reaching the foot of the pyramid complex itself. The craft required to construct such a path was an exercise in patience and precise harmony with nature. Layers of local core limestone were trimmed and fitted with exactness, building a gentle grade that eased the journey from the lower valley to the mortuary complex above. The choice of polished calcite for the pathway was deeply sensory. Its dense, translucent grain retained a cool temperature through the heat of the day and gleamed softly under misty skies. To traverse this corridor was to journey through a carefully controlled landscape where harsh desert glare gave way to muted acoustics and shimmering light. Each block of stone, laid millennia ago, speaks to a quiet dedication to permanence, framing the approach to the royal tomb as a peaceful transition between the river below and the sky above. In the gentle stillness of the desert morning, when soft fog slowly lifts from the green fields below, the shadow of this monumental causeway still traces its peaceful line across the bedrock. Though centuries of time have worn away much of the roof structure, the massive foundation remains steadfastly anchored to the plateau. The air carries a soothing, restful quiet, inviting a deep exhale as one contemplates the endless generations who walked this steady incline under the fading stars of night. Here, amidst ancient stone and enduring silence, the grand monument resting at the top of the rise feels like a natural continuation of the earth itself, holding its calm, eternal guard over the sleeping valley as a brand new day quietly begins. Across the calm waters of the Nile, beneath a soft and waning sun, the ancient stonemasons selected the finest blocks from the limestone cliffs of Tura to complete the monument's grand silhouette. These fine white stones were carefully ferried across the river during the seasonal inundation, guided by gentle currents toward the rising plateau. When elevated into place and set alongside one another, artisans smoothed every edge with patient precision, turning rough stone into a seamless face of breathtaking clarity. The outer casing of Khufu's pyramid was dressed with white Tura limestone quarried across the Nile, polished until it reflected the pale desert light, and joined with mortar seams thinner than 0.5 millimeter. In the stillness of early morning, before the heat of the day unfolded, this glowing facade captured the first soft light, casting a serene radiance across the surrounding desert. The sheer perfection of the joins meant that even a blade of grass or a sliver of papyrus could not find passage between the monumental blocks, creating an enduring skin that shielded the inner core against the slow erosion of wind and time. Beneath this brilliant exterior lay millions of tons of core masonry, held firmly by a soft, enduring mortar composed primarily of crushed gypsum. To produce this binding material, ancient craftsmen gathered wood from local riverbanks and woodland groves, kindling steady, low-burning fires that calcified the raw mineral into a workable powder. As these fires flickered softly against the evening sky of the Old Kingdom, tiny embers drifted upward into the quiet air, while minute flecks of ash settled into the pale dust. Mixed with water and fine sand, the mortar was spread smoothly across the stone beds, lubricating the movement of massive blocks as they slid into final position before setting into an unyielding bond. Deep inside the dark structure, safe from rain and wind, those tiny fragments of burnt wood remained preserved across centuries, holding a silent memory of the ancient fires that prepared the stone. Thousands of years later, modern researchers turned their attention to these microscopic traces trapped inside the structure to unlock the timeline of its creation. By carefully sampling the ancient mortar from deep within the core joints, scientists were able to isolate the organic carbon preserved within the gypsum matrix. Microscopic charcoal fragments sealed inside the core mortar allowed the Koch radiocarbon project to date the wood fires used to process the gypsum, tracing the forest growth cycles of the Old Kingdom. These minute specks of charcoal offered an unexpected window into the past, revealing the types of trees that once flourished along the river valleys and offering precise chronological anchors for early Egyptian history. Through this quiet labor of laboratory analysis, the grand scale of royal architecture was connected directly to the natural life cycles of ancient forests. showing how human effort and environmental history are bound together in the very fabric of the pyramid. As twilight fades across the desert tonight, a tranquil silence settles over the plateau, and the cool evening breeze whispers softly past the ancient stones. Though centuries have gently softened the monument's outer layer, its inner spirit remains steadfast and calm. In this peaceful quiet, stone, wood, water, and time rest in timeless harmony beneath the quiet canopy of stars. As the warm amber glow of the setting sun softens across the expansive Giza plateau, the long afternoon of coordinated movement slowly yields to a quiet, welcoming stillness. The heavy wooden sledges come to a final rest upon the desert sand, and the rhythmic drag of massive limestone blocks fades softly into the cool evening breeze down the gentle slope from the rising stone monuments near the lush green edge of the Nile floodplain, where the river waters meet the sand. A vibrant yet peaceful community stirs with the familiar, comforting rituals of dusk. Here, the thousands of dedicated builders, stonemasons, and haulers turn their attention away from the precision and geometry of monumental construction to gather in the welcoming shelter of their planned settlement. The evening air retains the gentle, lingering warmth of the sun-drenched day, mingling now with the inviting sense of evening supper hearths drifting lazily through the deepening twilight. It is a sacred hour for quiet ease, where the collective physical effort of the day transforms slowly and naturally into shared fellowship, quiet reflection, and well-deserved repose under a vast and darkening Egyptian sky. A short distance from the monumental construction sites, daily life settles into a predictable and comforting rhythm within the domestic quarters. Archaeological excavations at the workers' village of Height El Ghurab revealed that stone haulers were nourished on daily rations of slow-fermented emmer sourdough bread and stewed beef, resting in shared mud-brick dormitories after dusk. Inside these simple yet sturdy structures, crafted carefully from the rich silt of the riverbank, the sun-baked earth continuously radiates a soothing, steady warmth that shields the resting workers from the sudden nocturnal chill of the open desert night. Thick, crusty loaves of hearty sourdough bread are broken gently by hand, filling the warm air with the comforting aroma of ancient emmer grain harvested from the sun-drenched fields along the river. Bowls of rich, slow-simmered beef stew are shared in quiet, warm gratitude, offering deep nourishment to bodies that have labored in harmony throughout the day. There is an unhurried, meditative quality to these simple evening repasts, where low voices hum softly like a quiet lullaby, and the shared fatigue of honest work melts into profound contentment. Outside the quiet mud-brick walls, the grand outline of the Great Pyramid stands magnificent and still against the unfolding canopy of stars, casting a long, gentle shadow over the sleeping village beneath it. The cool night wind moves with a soft, rustling sound across the plateau, gliding over the smooth clay transport ramps, and slowly easing the stored heat from the immense limestone blocks that wait patiently for the morning light. Within the quiet, shadowed chambers of the shared dormitories, every breath slows to a deep, natural rhythm, blending together into a soft, restful symphony of peaceful, restorative slumber. The heavy ropes, the sturdy wooden levers, and the slick mud paths belong now to the realm of tomorrow, held safely in the quiet, undisturbed pause of the night. Time itself seems to slow down over the ancient, moonlit landscape of Giza, offering a gentle embrace wherein body, mind, and spirit find complete rest, cradled securely by the timeless, tranquil stillness of the surrounding Egyptian desert. As dusk settles over the Giza plateau, the heat of the day gently slips away from the limestone casing, leaving behind a profound and ancient stillness. Moving inward, away from the wide sky and deep into the Great Pyramid, the atmosphere changes into a calm, constant cool that has remained undisturbed for thousands of years. Here, inside the solid geometry of stone, sound softens until only the quiet rhythm of breath remains. Beneath the vast weight of stacked blocks lies the natural bedrock, the solid foundation upon which the monument rests, descending from the entrance on the northern face. A long and narrow passage cuts straight into this underlying rock, guiding the eye downward into shadow. The air within this corridor is still, free from evening breezes, inviting a feeling of rest and quiet contemplation. In the darkness, the outer world yields to an immaculate geometric order, crafted with meticulous care by builders seeking harmony between earth and sky. Every surface of the corridor speaks to a patient smoothing of stone that transforms a simple path into an enduring tunnel of peace. This corridor, known as the descending passage, journeys downward through masonry and living rock with remarkable architectural exactness. Smoothly finished walls line the slope, maintaining a uniform width and height that creates a linear vision into the depths. The descending passage of the Great Pyramid was carved into the bedrock at a precise incline of 26 degrees and 31 minutes, creating a long, dark alignment pointing silently toward the star Kachab around 2560 BCE. Looking upward through this long stone channel from deep underground, an observer in antiquity would have seen that distant circumpolar star framed in the small rectangle of sky at the opening, while other stars rose and set across the horizon. Kachab circled closely around the celestial pole, serving as a steadfast anchor in the nightly sky. For the ancient architects, such an alignment tied the temporal realm of Earth to the unmoving center of the heavens. The steady slope of stone provided a direct visual line to that quiet northern light, linking the dark subterranean chamber below with the timeless turn of the cosmos above. In the hushed hours of the night, when work along the Nile had ceased and the desert wind whispered against the base of the monument, this passage remained a quiet bridge between stone and star, builders who laid out the angle of incline worked by simple yet accurate means, using plumb lines and astronomical observations to establish their line of sight. Their careful labor created a sense of permanence that easily transcends the passing of centuries. To stand in thought within such a space is to feel the passage of time slow, gradually, to a gentle crawl. The stone does not hurry, nor do the distant stars that continue their silent rotations high overhead. As night deepens over the plateau, the enduring memory of that ancient star, Kachab, lingers in the geometry of the slope, keeping watch over the silent interior. Resting deep within the cool bedrock, wrapped in thick layer upon layer of heavy limestone, the pyramid holds its breath in absolute tranquility, anchored forever to the quiet north. Deep within the heart of the ancient structure, far removed from the shifting desert winds and the fierce radiance of the midday sun, the atmosphere settles into a quiet, unwavering equilibrium. Step into this subterranean stillness, where the turmoil of the outer world fades into complete obscurity, and the restless passage of centuries slows to a gentle, motionless pause. Here, insulated from summer heat and winter chills alike, the interior chambers stay at a constant temperature of 20 degrees Celsius year-round, cocooned inside 2 million limestone blocks filled with tiny coin-shaped fossil shells called nummulites. Each block of stone holds within its pale, dense matrix millions of these ancient organisms, preserved from prehistoric seas that covered the land long before human hands ever sculpted the plateau. Suspended together in eternal silence, these fossil-laden stones form an immense thermal buffer, absorbing the warmth of daytime and giving back only a cool, steady calm that never fluctuates. To rest within such an interior is to feel completely sheltered, enveloped by protective layers of solid earth and marine history that have watched millennia slip quietly by without allowing a single disturbance to enter their peaceful domain. Following the narrow stone passages deeper still, the space softly expands into one of antiquity's most breathtaking architectural achievements. Rising gradually through the darkness, the soaring incline invites quiet contemplation of the builder's meticulous engineering. High above the smooth ramp, the corbelled ceiling of the Great Pyramid's 47-meter grand gallery consists of 7 overlapping stone tiers, each stepping inward by precisely 7 centimeters to safely channel thousands of tons of overhead stone weight into the dense surrounding masonry. This deliberate, subtle shifting of stone creates an elegant vaulting effect that is both aesthetically graceful and structurally indestructible. Each massive block rested upon its neighbor with absolute exactness, distributing immense compressive forces outward into the mountain of limestone, rather than allowing them to collapse inward. The rhythm of these 7 steps creates a harmonious upward cadence, guiding the eye into the soft shadows of the upper ceiling, where light gently softens and dissolves into twilight. this solemn hallway of stone, every line and angle reflects an unwavering patience, a geometric lullaby spoken in heavy, enduring blocks that have rested undisturbed for thousands of years. Surrounded by these ancient stones, one can feel a profound, untroubled sense of safety and permanence. Time outside may continue its hurried forward march. Empires may rise and fall like waves upon a distant shore, and the winds may endlessly reshape the golden dunes of Giza. Yet, within these sacred inner vaults, nothing changes. The air remains perpetually cool, motionless, and soft, carrying the faint, comforting scent of dry mineral dust and timeless history. The sheer, overwhelming mass of the pyramid creates a silent sanctuary where noise cannot penetrate, daylight cannot startle, and daily anxiety cannot follow. It is a monumental haven engineered to endure across ages, offering a depth of stillness so complete and reassuring that the mind naturally yields all tension to its soothing influence. As thoughts drift gently alongside the silent geometry of the grand gallery, and the steady, ancient atmosphere cocooned in stone, body, and spirit are invited to sink into peaceful slumber, resting securely in the quiet, everlasting embrace of time. High within the heart of the Great Pyramid, far above the desert floor, and isolated from the shifting sands outside, lies a realm of unbroken quiet. In this shadowed interior, the immense mass of limestone weighs down with a silent, constant presence created by skilled hands long ago. Directly above the king's chamber, ancient builders constructed a series of narrow, stacked compartments designed not for human footsteps, but for the long endurance of the monument itself. These hidden spaces, layered one upon another like quiet whispers in stone, absorb the subtle shifts of the earth and the steady, unyielding pull of gravity. Heavy granite slabs, transported down the Nile from the distant quarries of Aswan, rest across these compartments in perfect, undisturbed stillness. The air inside these forgotten hollows remains cool and still, untouched by the hot desert breeze or the light of the sun. Here, deep beneath the upper courses of stone, the architecture exists in a state of absolute rest, holding the immense burden of the monument in timeless harmony. As night settles over Giza, the stone core maintains its ancient poise, resting peacefully as it has for millennia. Ascending beyond the lower compartments, one reaches the absolute apex of this weight-bearing structure, where the builders executed their final safeguard against the mass overhead. Above the highest stress-relieving chamber of the Great Pyramid, 5 massive pairs of granite beams lean against one another at a sharp angle to form a gabled roof, which redirects the massive downward pressure of the upper pyramid outward into the solid core. This architectural feature operates in complete silence, channeling thousands of tons of limestone away from the chambers below and spreading the force evenly into the surrounding mass. The granite beams, resting shoulder to shoulder in the dark void, form a protective triangular arch that has shielded the inner sanctuary without yielding a single fraction of an inch. Each massive block was placed with such care that gravity itself becomes a source of stability rather than destruction. The sharp angle of the roof allows downward forces to resolve into gentle outward vectors, demonstrating a masterclass in static mechanics long before the principles of modern engineering were formally written down. In the stillness of this elevated peak, the beams remain locked in their embrace, holding back the weight above with quiet grace. Beyond the protective span of the gabled roof, the remaining millions of limestone blocks rise toward the sky, converging in silent symmetry. The distribution of weight throughout the monument creates a profound sense of equilibrium, where every stone supports its neighbor in a continuous embrace. Time slows down within these deep recesses, where neither wind nor rain can reach the aligned stone courses. Ancient masons understood that building for eternity required not merely colossal strength, but a quiet mastery of balance. As cool evening air sweeps across the smooth outer casing stones outside, deep within the pyramid, all structural forces remain poised in calm contentment. The gabled beams continue their patient task, resting securely beneath the vast weight of history, forever wrapped in the comforting stillness of stone and time. In this quiet, timeless sanctuary of geometry and physics, the ancient monument rests in perfect peace, slumbering peacefully beneath the starry desert sky. Deep within the very heart of the Great Pyramid, far removed from the scorching desert heat and the bright, relentless glare of the daytime sun, lies the serene sanctuary of the king's chamber. The atmospheric calm inside this grand granite room is palpable and soothing, where massive blocks of dark stone rest in absolute stillness, preserving the cool tranquility of thousands of passing years. The heavy ceiling beams, stacked high in hidden relieving chambers to bear the vast weight of the stone core above, create a hushed subterranean space where time itself seems to slow to a gentle halt. Here, the air is soft, cool, and motionless, holding only the calm memory of the ancient builders who moved with quiet focus through these shadows. Every flat surface of polished granite reflects the slow, steady passage of hours, serving as a peaceful testament to patience, human skill, and quiet dedication. The ambient darkness cradles the stone, insulating it from the busy world outside, and wrapping the entire interior in a layer of profound stillness that invites deep rest and quiet reflection. At the center of this restful chamber rests the dark granite sarcophagus, carved from a single colossal block of stone brought down the Nile from the distant, sunny quarries of Aswan. To hollow out and shape this solemn vessel, ancient artisans employed a method that combined quiet persistence with simple, natural elements, working by the low, warm glow of oil lamps. Craftsmen shaped the dark granite sarcophagus inside the king's chamber using toothless copper saws fed with fine desert quartz sand, leaving microscopic parallel grooves that trace the steady, rhythmic motion of ancient hands. As the hard quartz grains were drawn back and forth against the unyielding stone under the weight of soft copper blades, the abrasive sand slowly wore away the dense rock millimeter by millimeter. This measured back and forth motion was not an aggressive effort, but rather a calm, hypnotic cadence, a continuous cycle of pushing and pulling that gradually shaped raw stone into a smooth and peaceful vessel. Each repetitive stroke was guided by careful focus, leaving behind subtle, invisible signatures of human touch etched deep into the enduring grain of the granite. Running a hand across the finished stone today, those fine, microscopic lines left behind by the quartz sand feel like a soft whisper across the ages, gently connecting our present moment to the steady breathing and deliberate focus of those long-ago masons. The acoustic silence inside the king's chamber absorbs all remaining sound, wrapping the sarcophagus in a profound, timeless quiet that lulls the mind into peaceful stillness. Outside, the night sky opens wide over the quiet desert plateau, filled with a cool breeze and stars that have watched over the monuments for millennia, while inside, the atmosphere remains forever constant, calm, and undisturbed by the passing seasons. As darkness gently enfolds the ancient monument, the craftsmanship of the past and the endless flow of time rest together in silent unity, encouraging a sense of deep, comforting calm to settle over the night. The steady, silent presence of the massive stones offers an enduring promise of quiet rest, inviting the mind to drift effortlessly into peaceful sleep amidst the gentle stillness of the ancient world. Ascending into the still, dark core of the Great Pyramid, the air grows quiet and steady, held fast by millions of tons of carefully fitted stone. Here, far beneath the outer casing that once reflected the golden sun of the desert day, the passage of time seems to come to a peaceful, unbroken rest. High above the polished walls of the king's chamber, hidden within the upper reaches of the monument, lie stacked spaces designed to relieve the immense downward weight of the structure. These stress-relieving chambers, built from giant beams of dense granite, have stood undisturbed through thousands of quiet nights. Inside them, the air remains cool, motionless, and completely shielded from the shifting winds of the desert plateau outside. As you drift deeper into this profound stillness, it becomes easy to feel the calm sanctuary of the ancient architecture. The great stone slabs, lifted and settled into place with patient precision, speak to a deep understanding of weight and balance that has gently survived across endless generations. In the eternal darkness of these secluded vaults, untouched by daylight, time has preserved the intimate human details of the construction. When the ancient builders raised these heavy stones, they brought simple tools, steady hands, and small lamps casting warm light against rough rock. As they aligned the structural beams high above the burial chamber, they left behind subtle traces of their daily labor. Deep within the stress-relieving chambers, above the king's chamber. Ancient stonemasons left quiet brushstrokes of red ochre ink naming work squads like the Friends of Khufu, which remained preserved in total darkness for over 4,000 years. These gentle markings, painted in fluid strokes across coarse granite, were never intended to be seen by future visitors or recorded in grand inscriptions. They were practical notes and soft expressions of group identity, applied by workers who stood precisely where silence now rests. To reflect upon these inscriptions in the calm of evening is to feel a living connection across millennia to the ordinary individuals whose devotion built this timeless wonder. The red ochre pigment, drawn from the natural earth, bonded so gently with the stone that it survived unchanged while dynasties rose and faded into quiet memory. Alongside the monumental scale of the pyramid, it is these subtle marks that carry the true human heartbeat of ancient Giza. The work squads, bound by shared purpose and collective skill, moved together in quiet rhythm, guiding massive stone blocks up earth ramps into the silent heart of the monument. In the deep peace of the night, as desert sands cool beneath a wide canopy of stars, those ancient brushstrokes remain nestled safely in their hidden alcoves. They remind us that even the vastest structures of antiquity were woven together by small human moments of care, resting in perfect equilibrium. As you rest now, let your mind linger in that profound quiet above the king's chamber. The heavy granite beams continue to carry their burden with silent grace, keeping safe the faint red ink in perpetual shadow. There is no hurry here, only the slow, peaceful rhythm of time moving across stone. Let the enduring strength of the pyramid enclose you, guiding your thoughts into a deep and effortless rest. As night settles gently across the Giza plateau, the internal chambers of the Great Pyramid rest in an unbroken, cool hush that has endured across centuries. Deep within the core of the monument, far beneath the high courses of weathered stone exposed to the desert wind, narrow channels wind through the massive limestone blocks, leading out toward the silent stars. In the quiet depth of the Queen's chamber, one such narrow passage drew the curiosity of modern explorers, seeking to understand its purpose without disturbing the sacred structure. In the narrow 20-centimeter wide southern shaft of the Queen's chamber, miniature robotic crawlers discovered a finely dressed limestone blocking stone fitted with two delicate, loop-shaped copper pins, untouched inside the dark masonry for over 4 millennia. Guided slowly along the tight limestone floor into spaces unvisited for thousands of years, the camera's soft light illuminated these gentle artifacts preserved in the dry and sheltered darkness. The simple elegance of those small metal loops offers a poignant whisper from the ancient masons, reminding us of the human hands that measured, smoothed, and carefully sealed these hidden avenues so long ago, leaving behind a tranquil witness to their skill. Beyond the reach of mechanical cameras and small crawlers, the pyramid guards further secrets in its vast interior, preserved not by barrier stones alone, but by the sheer volume of its enduring geometry. For generations, visitors wondered if other hidden spaces slept within the immense core, far beyond traditional human reach or sight. In recent years, science found a way to listen to the stone without removing a single block, turning to the constant stream of natural particles raining down quietly from the upper atmosphere. In 2017, physicists using non-invasive cosmic ray muon detectors identified a 30-meter hollow void resting silently above the Grand Gallery, untouched and still since the Old Kingdom. By measuring how these invisible cosmic particles filtered through millions of tons of limestone, researchers created a quiet map of density and shadow, revealing a massive hidden chamber suspended in darkness without disturbing the fragile structural equilibrium of the ancient monument. The discovery felt less like an intrusion and more like a gentle revelation, confirming that even after thousands of years, the monument continues to hold quiet conversations with the sky, allowing cosmic rays to softly outline its forgotten spaces while keeping their secrets wrapped in peaceful mystery. The presence of such untouched voids and delicate copper pins reminds us that time moves differently here on the plateau, where ancient stonecraft and modern physics meet in serene harmony. There is no urgency to uncover every secret at once. Rather, the slow cadence of discovery mirrors the patient pace at which the pyramid was raised block by block so long ago. The cosmic rays continue their steady, silent passage through stone, just as the cool evening breeze sweeps softly over the smooth casing stones below, soothing the ancient landscape under a canopy of twilight. As the stars wheel slowly across the night sky above Giza, the pyramid remains a timeless sanctuary of human patience, resting in its long twilight, keeping its quiet interior spaces safe, still, and endlessly tranquil. As dusk softens into the velvet shadows of night, a deep and enduring silence settles over the Giza plateau. The lingering warmth of the day slowly fades from the weathered surfaces of limestone and granite, leaving the great monuments resting peacefully under a vast sky filled with quiet, distant stars. For generations, thousands of dedicated hands shaped these monumental forms, moving heavy block after block across the sunlit sands with measured patience, rhythm, and extraordinary skill. Now the bustling noise of copper chisels, dragging sledges, and rhythmic work songs has long since dissolved into the cool desert air, leaving only the timeless, majestic contours of the structures against the moonlit horizon. The pyramids stand not as monuments of restless effort or human struggle, but as quiet, enduring guardians of time itself, grounded firmly in the fertile earth while gazing silently upward into the calm infinity of the cosmos. Every shadow that stretches across the sleeping plateau seems to whisper a gentle invitation to let go of the day's labors, to surrender to ease, and to rest beneath the same steady stars that guided ancient astronomers and master builders so many centuries ago. In this profound and silent stillness, the subtle details of their care and spiritual devotion remain safely tucked away beneath the sand, cradled in eternal rest. Beside the southern face of Khufu's pyramid, workers buried a 43-meter cedarwood boat assembled from 1,224 pieces woven together with palm fiber cords, designed to swell in water and seal naturally without a single metal fastener. Ancient craftspeople fitted each piece of fragrant timber with incredible reverence and precision, binding them carefully with organic fibers, so that, should the vessel ever meet the sacred celestial waters of the underworld, the wood would gently expand to bind itself into a seamless, watertight hole, hidden away in its dark, sealed limestone pit for thousands of years. This solar bark rested without sound or movement, waiting in pristine, untroubled harmony with the earth. It is a quiet, breathtaking testament to a culture that understood how to work alongside nature's subtle forces, trusting in simple wood, plant fiber, and water to accomplish what no rigid metal could ever achieve. The vessel lay completely undisturbed through endless millennia of shifting sands, holding the quiet intentions and dreams of its makers in perfect, peaceful stasis. Now, as the night grows deeper still, and the cool evening breeze carries the faint scent of dry earth and river mist across the plain, the ancient Nile Valley yields entirely to slumber. The great earthen ramps that once climbed toward the sky have long since returned to dust. The busy tools have grown silent, and the heavy stones lie settled in their final, eternal foundations. Time here moves no longer in swift, restless currents, but slows to the gentle, steady rhythm of the constellations, drifting effortlessly across the darkened sky. All that remains is an overwhelming sense of calm, an unyielding peace born of immense human patience, enduring stone and silent time. As you drift off into your own quiet and restorative rest, let your thoughts settle softly alongside these ancient guardians, wrapped in the deep, undisturbed tranquility of the desert night, where everything is at peace and all work is complete.